Hey everybody, I am back to talk about the next couple of books of Les Mis. And no, I cannot explain my hair right now. I've just been at work. It's been a long day. Since we last spoke, I have read books 5 and book 6, so I've only got 7, 8 and 9 left, and then I am completely done with Les Mis. On the one hand, I'm like, oh yeah, I can finally be done with Les Mis and I can go read some other stuff. And then at the same time, I'm like, let's be honest, you're never going to be done with Les Mis. There's a very strong part of me that's like, well, you do know that there's 365 chapters in Les Mis. So, you know, like come next new year, you could like slowly pour your way over it. I just get the sense that I am never ever going to be done reading this book. It's one that I'm just going to continuously want to go back to. And I feel like even though I've gone over this at a much slower pace than I did the first time, that there's still stuff that I haven't picked up on. There's still stuff that I could have focused on that I didn't just this time round, and that I'm going to have to do another read in order to get more out of it. But anyway, that's a conversation for another time. So starting off with book 5, which is Grandfather and Grandson. Here we return to Marius as he recovers at his grandfather's house, and we find out that this has been a process of 6 months of recovery. It's also mentioned by Victor Hugo that Marius has effectively been pardoned by the government. He's pardoned for his involvement in the rebellion purely because enough time has passed that people have kind of forgotten, and also that the courts really don't want to draw people's attention back towards this rebellion that happened. They don't really want to give people any ideas. Which I don't know about you, but to me, it just highlights the unnecessary cruelty of the slaughter that happened to the students, and especially to Gavroche. The rioting was literally something that would have been forgiven given enough time. Had they survived, they would have been pardoned. So was it necessary to kill all of these people? Meh. I don't know, I was just left with a really bitter taste in my mouth after reading that. A theme that Victor Hugo is really going back to in this section is the restorative power of love, of having somebody in your life that you love and that you can take care of. We really see this coming into full effect with Monsieur Guinomand now that Marius is back in his life. He's basically becoming his best self. He's becoming more generous. He's laughing, he's singing, he's giving large tips to his servants. He even refers to Marius as Le Baron and saying, long live the Republic. He decides to step down as leader of the household and makes Marius be the one in charge of the family. But the thing is that Marius is still quite skeptical about his grandfather's intentions. This is, however, until he decides to bring up the conversation about marriage. He still very much wants to marry Cosette, and he is amazed and just bowled over when Monsieur Guinomand says, oh yeah, that's all sorted. He surprises him by telling him that the marriage is all arranged and that he has met Cosette and that he really loves her, that he heartily approves of Cosette and Marius marrying. Cosette and Marius marrying. Only at this point does Marius start to warm up to Monsieur Guinomand and calls him father. And something that I noted, particularly in this section over and over again, is the theme that I keep on coming back to with Les Mis, which is names are important, because Monsieur Guinomand's reaction to Marius finally calling him father, he just doesn't know what to do with himself. He now knows that Marius loves him because he is calling him father. And like I say, the theme of names and the importance of calling people by the name that they want to be called is drilled in so much in Les Mis, but none so much as in this chapter. It comes up again and again. So Marius and Cosette finally get to see each other again, and they are just delighted. Though I'm not going to lie to you, Monsieur Guinomand is kind of creepy in this section in his approval of Cosette and saying how wonderful she is, and saying like, oh, if I was 15 years younger, then Marius would have competition for you. And you're like, you are literally a 90-year-old man, like stay far away from me, sir. And Monsieur Guinomand is saying, oh, even though she's penniless, you know, she's still a delightful bride and you'll be very happy together. And it's at this point that Jean Valjean informs the group that Cosette actually has a dowry of 600,000 francs. And something that is unbeknownst to the characters, but we know as readers, is that Jean Valjean went out to the forest where he has buried all of his money and took it all up. He took all of his money out from his hiding place in order to keep Cosette in comfort, because after Javert left, he still thought that there was a risk of him being arrested, and he wanted to make sure that Cosette was going to be provided for, only finding out about Javert's suicide in a newspaper days later. And with the news that Cosette is quite an heiress, Monsieur Guinomand is even more excited. We then see Jean Valjean as he sets out getting all of the legalities sorted. He finally gets Cosette recognised in law as Euphrasie Fauchelevent and getting all of the money put under her name, that when she is married she'll be able to claim the 600,000 francs. 600,000 francs. 600,000 francs. I can't say it. However, as we get to the end of the chapter, we see how Marius is still very much haunted by his past. He's still finding his mind wandering over to the barricade that night, and it's only with Cosette's presence in his life that he is able to draw himself out of his depression. He also becomes obsessed with trying to find out who was the man who saved him. He goes back to the street of the barricade, he goes to the police, he goes even to the sewers, but can find no answers. And that moves us on to book 6, The Sleepless Night. And this is a largely happy chapter and then gets really sad. So Marius and Cosette marry, yay! However, there are little glints of Jean Valjean's sadness. He decides to fake an injury to his hand in order to not sign the legal document marrying Marius and Cosette, because he doesn't want to lie on official legal documents. He doesn't want to risk Cosette's happiness if it is found out that he is Jean Valjean. But the bulk of the chapter is just so joyous, which after all of the sadness of the deaths at the barricade is really welcome. To have one's dream come true. Who is granted that? There must be elections for it in heaven. Unknowingly, we are all candidates. The angels vote. Cosette and Marius were elected. Cosette exuded love and kindness like a perfume. Happiness wants the whole world to be happy. She and Marius are just so delighted that they want to share it with everybody around them. However, once again, I said that this chapter ends really sadly. After the ceremony, Jean Valjean slips out, not feeling like he belongs in Cosette's new happy world. He gets back to his house, not the house where Cosette and Marius are living with Marius's grandfather, even though he does have a place there. He has a room there. They want him to stay with them. But he goes back to his old house. And it's so sad as we see him just break down sobbing. He doesn't see how he can fit in this new world. He feels like now that Cosette has Marius that he's superfluous, she doesn't need him anymore. And his life has been so anchored by looking after Cosette that he's now just lost and it's so sad. And yeah, that is it for now, but I feel like when I come back, I will have actually finished the whole book. It is accomplished! So it is Friday the 26th of March now. It is my very last night in my family home. And last night, just before I went to bed, I finally finished my reread of Les Mis. I don't know if I included a clip from last night, but there were tears that were shed. Part of me wonders whether or not that was my general emotional state about leaving home, but I actually think quite a lot of it was the fact that this book just gets me so much. The first time I read this book was back in 2017 and it hit me then and it did it again. That same feeling of, okay, well, that can't be the end. Even though I've read 1,300 pages, that could not be the end, and I definitely need to reread this, and who knows when that's going to be, but yeah, I will never be done with this book. It will be something that I constantly want to come back to because I just love it so much, and I get so much out of it every time that I read it. But yes, last night I finished book 7, 8 and 9. Starting off with book 7, we have The Last Drop in the Chalice, in which we see Jean Valjean as he goes back to the Pontmercy's house the day following the wedding. And we see that overnight he's basically not slept, he's been torturing himself and been crying. Jean Valjean remained motionless on the spot where Basque had left him. He was very pale. His eyes were deep set and so sunken in their sockets by sleeplessness that they almost disappeared. His black coat had the tired creases of a garment that has been worn all night. The elbows were white with the fluff left on cloth from rubbing against bed linen. Marius comes to meet with him and he's just going on and on talking about how happy he is, how grateful he is to his father-in-law, and Jean Valjean basically stops him in his tracks by saying, "Monsieur, I have something to tell you. I am an ex-convict." Like, the conversation just dies. And then the next few pages are Jean Valjean recounting his story, telling him how he is not Cosette's father, and how he was an ex-convict who broke his parole, saying that Cosette no longer needs him, that he is basically passing the torch on to Marius to look after her. And Marius doesn't really know how to react to this news. This sets Marius down a bit of a downward spiral, where he's suddenly questioning everything because of this revelation about Jean Valjean. Does this taint Cosette in any sort of way, or the 600,000 francs that they've inherited? Even thinking like, has he been tricked into marrying her? Jean Valjean makes it clear that the reason he's choosing to tell Marius about his true identity is because he wants to slip away out of Cosette's life. For one thing, he kind of wants to relieve his soul from this lie, but also on a practical level, he knows that there are always people who are going to know his true identity and who, if they saw him, would expose him, and that would end up bringing shame and scandal and controversy to the family. And I did have to ask at this point, like, Jean Valjean knows that Javert is dead, and Javert was the main person who was trying to come after him, so who is it that Jean Valjean really thinks is after him at this point? I don't know, I just don't think it's necessary what he ends up doing. At one point, Jean Valjean says, "In the past, I stole a loaf of bread for the sake of living. Today, for the sake of living, I don't want to steal a name." "For the sake of living?" Marius broke in. "Haven't you need of that name if you're to live?" "Oh, I know what I'm saying," says Jean Valjean, kind of hinting to the reader that Jean Valjean does mean to die soon. And at that point, I'm starting to get teary-eyed, because we know that Jean Valjean's now got to a point where, without Cosette, he doesn't think there's anything to live for. Cosette then ends up interrupting them, thinking that they're talking about politics. And it's in this section where she's trying to cheer both of them up and she's trying to engage in conversation with them and find out what they were talking about, that her liveliness and her personality and just how headstrong she is really comes through. And also just her love for Jean Valjean and for Marius both. It's just so sad that Jean Valjean can't seem to realise how much she loves him. Marius finally ends up being able to convince Cosette to leave, but she kind of feigns madness at this. Marius speculates on what will happen when Cosette finds out Jean Valjean's secret, and at that point Jean Valjean just breaks down crying, begging Marius, please do not let her know. And this is honestly some of the saddest writing in all of Les Mis. He collapsed into an armchair and hid his face in both hands. There was no sound to be heard, but from the shaking of his shoulders you could see that he was weeping. Silent, terrible tears. Sobbing is suffocating. A kind of convulsion seized him. He fell back in the chair as though to catch his breath, letting his arms hang loose and letting Marius see the tears streaming down his face. And Marius heard him murmur so low his voice seemed to come from a fathomless deep. Oh, I wish I could die. Marius promises not to tell Jean Valjean's secret to Cosette, and Jean Valjean initially says that he won't see Cosette anymore, and Marius seems quite pleased about this. However, just before he leaves, Valjean says, no, I will come see her again. And like I say, Marius's reaction to this news is not great, and I really genuinely start to dislike Marius in these chapters. Though Victor Hugo is kind of trying to point out why it is that he distrusts Jean Valjean and why it is that he doesn't like him, and we realise at this point that Marius still believes that Jean Valjean killed Javert. And it's in describing Marius's reaction to this that you really see Victor Hugo really playing on this idea of people do not fit into a perfect binary. People are neither wholly good nor bad. That there is moral greyness. That people are far more complicated. But that Marius is so close-minded and has such a narrow view that he can only see Jean Valjean as either good or bad. Victor Hugo points out that the reason for this is that Marius had not yet reached the stage of distinguishing between what is written by man and what is written by God, between law and rightfulness. That Marius, kind of similarly to Javert, has such a fixed view of what is good and what is bad based on the law, rather than based on a divine idea of what is right or wrong. And just hearing the words, I am a convict, from Jean Valjean provoked this negative reaction. By the end of the chapter, the conclusion that Marius basically comes to is that Jean Valjean may be a villain, but Cosette is still a prize, and that it is Marius's job now to protect Cosette, and to replace Jean Valjean as her protector. Victor Hugo ends by saying, that vicious nettle had loved and protected this lily. Obviously the vicious nettle being Jean Valjean and the lily being Cosette. And oh yeah, I don't have great feelings about Marius after this. And then next we get to book 8, which is the waning twilight. And basically we follow this chapter as Jean Valjean attempts to slowly but surely phase himself out of Cosette's life. The first way that he does this is by telling her that she must call him Monsieur Jean rather than father. And at first Cosette is quite incensed by this idea. She doesn't understand why Jean Valjean does not want to be known as father anymore. But over time, because Jean Valjean corrects her so often, she ends up calling him Monsieur Jean. Jean Valjean also starts seeing her less and less, going from seeing her for a few hours every day to slowly only seeing her for about 5 minutes, to then not coming every day, to then not coming at all. And part of the reason for that is because she has now adapted to calling him Monsieur Jean, which is what he wanted her to call him. But when one day she does correct herself from saying father to then saying Monsieur Jean, he's heartbroken by this, and he kind of sees it as proof that she no longer needs him. And I'm just like, just talk to each other. He basically decides that that's the last time he's going to see Cosette, and then ends up retiring to his small little hovel in Rue de l'Homme Armé. That was just a short little chapter of transition, and now moving on to the final book of Les Mis, book 9, Ultimate Darkness, Ultimate Dawn. And Victor Hugo notes at first that Cosette and Marius are just so happy that they don't initially notice Jean Valjean's absence. And he's saying that we're not to blame them, that this is something that is quite natural, even though it is heartbreaking. And I'm sitting here just like, well, I don't blame Cosette for this. I 100% do blame Marius, because I would argue that he's the one who drove Jean Valjean out, not Cosette. Cosette is the one who keeps on writing to him, asking him to come to her, and he says no. We then shoot back to Jean Valjean, who it is clear is starving himself. It's been quite a few weeks now, and he's just wasting away because of his heartbreak. And everybody who does see him can see that he is dying. Once again, Victor Hugo bringing up this theme of what love can do, both the restorative properties of having somebody there that you love and that loves you too, but also the destructive qualities of not having someone who loves you around, and how that can just eat away at you. It gets to a point where within a month it looks like Jean Valjean has aged 30 years. Prior to Cosette's wedding, people would not have guessed that he was more than 50, but within a month of starving himself, he now looks like he's 80 years old. This man who was once known for being so impressively strong is now so weak and brittle. And like I say, it's just heartbreaking. I hated reading this section. I just want people to talk to each other. He's just so heartbroken. We then change course and end up going back to Marius, who has gotten a mysterious letter. A man is at his door claiming that he has business with him, and he signs his letter as Thénard. And yep, you've guessed it, in comes Thénardier, dressed in the finest outfit that he could find, and basically confirming himself as the worst character in this book, a true villain, because he's trying to get money from Marius in order to relocate to the Americas in order to take advantage of the slave trade. As if I didn't hate him enough already. And in order to extract that money from Marius, he tells him that he knows of a secret that concerns him. He tells Marius that Marius has a thief and a murderer within his home, and reveals that it is Jean Valjean, the father of his wife. And Marius is like, yes, I know that he's a thief and a murderer. I know that he stole money from Monsieur Madeleine, and I know that he murdered the Inspector Javert. I'm not giving you money when I already know all that information. To which the truth starts to come out as Monsieur Thénardier says, no, that's not right. Jean Valjean is a thief and a murderer, but he did not kill Monsieur Madeleine because Jean Valjean was Monsieur Madeleine, and also revealing that Jean Valjean could not have killed Javert because Javert killed Javert, producing two papers which confirm these facts. So then, of course, Marius is so confused by this and asks Thénardier, how can it be that Jean Valjean is a thief and a murderer when you have just disproved the theft and murder that I think that he committed? To which Thénardier reveals that the theft and murder was of a young man at the barricade on the 6th of June 1832. Thénardier confirming that he recognised Jean Valjean in the sewers that night, and that he was carrying what he presumed to be a corpse that he'd murdered and then stole money from. As proof, he then pulls out a piece of fabric that he extracted from the man who Jean Valjean had murdered's coat. And Marius basically has a big brainwave, realising that that scrap of material came from his coat and that he was the man that Jean Valjean was carrying, effectively confirming that Jean Valjean was the man that saved him from the barricade. Marius then thrusts some money into Thénardier's hand, telling him to get out of his house, because Thénardier has tried to come to his house claiming that Jean Valjean is a thief and a murderer, and he's basically disproven him and proven him a hero. Marius then, realising what he's done and realising he has to make amends to Jean Valjean, whisks Cosette away to try and find Jean Valjean. Cosette and Marius arrive at Jean Valjean's house, and they fall to their knees calling him father, and Jean Valjean is just so full of joy, realising by the fact that they've named him father that they've forgiven him. Marius reveals that he's found out the truth of Jean Valjean's heroism, and he dearly wishes for forgiveness, revealing to Cosette that Jean Valjean was the man that saved him, and also kind of telling Jean Valjean off for the fact that he never revealed this to them, that he hid the truth from them. Jean Valjean admits that yes, he was wrong to do that, but he thought he was doing it for the best, thinking that Cosette didn't need him anymore. And Cosette of course says, no, that's not true, you will always have a place in my home. However, when she claims that she's going to take him away and that she's going to make him better, Jean Valjean realises what we've all come to realise, which is that he's dying, that he does not have long left on this earth because of the fact that he starved himself. And of course, Marius and Cosette are heartbroken at this news. The doctor arrives and confirms that Jean Valjean is going to die pretty much there and then. However, Jean Valjean just tried to calm them down by saying, it's nothing to die. It's dreadful not to live. Jean Valjean confirms to Marius that the 600,000 francs that belong to Cosette do rightfully belong to her, that that money was earned honestly and therefore they have no fear in using it. He bequeaths the 2 candlesticks that he got from the bishop to Cosette. He finally reveals the name of Cosette's mother, Fantine, and basically makes them promise that the only thing they have to do is love each other. So I'm leaving you now, my children. Love each other always. That's about the only thing in the world that matters. Loving each other. He then asks them to take his hands, and they do, at which point Jean Valjean dies. And then the final chapter of the book takes us to the cemetery where Jean Valjean has been buried. It's so sad. And upon that very modest grave reads, he sleeps. Though fate dealt with him strangely, he lived. Bereft of his angel, he died. It came about simply, of itself, as night follows when the day is ended. And with that is the end of Les Mis. I'm not gonna cry, I'm not gonna cry. Yeah. That's it. That's the end. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself now. I mean, what I can say is I am glad that I've been able to finish this before I moved, because I knew that if I ended up moving, still carrying this book, I'd only have like this much left to read and I'd be really annoyed with myself. So I am glad that I've got it done now, but it feels like the end of an era. I really do want to thank everybody who has been participating in our little Les Mis Discord. Especially want to thank Kieran. I know I basically bullied you into reading this book and I hope you've enjoyed it. So thank you everybody who has been involved in this. I know that these videos are not quite as well loved and well viewed as some of my others. I know not everybody's very interested in Les Mis, but you know, I love it so much. I hope that has come across. You know, I could talk about this book for hours and hours and hours, and there's so much that I could have said about this book that I didn't, which is one of the reasons why I feel like I will constantly have to be coming back to this book. And yeah, I love it so much, and I hope if you haven't read along with this that this has maybe taken some of that intimidation factor away, that potentially it makes you excited to pick this up. I don't know, I just think it's a great book, and I know it's not for everybody. I know that Victor Hugo has a lot of writing quirks. I know people are often put off by the digressions, but I just think they're part of the charm, and I just think this overall story and the characters are just so compelling. They're really characters that you end up falling in love with and then being heartbroken about, and honestly I cannot wait until the theatres reopen and I can go see the musical again. Like, oh, please let me have that soon. Anyway, that is it for today's vlog. I don't think this is going to be the last Les Mis video that I do. I think I still have to do like my book to musical differences. I mean, this is definitely not going to be the last time that I talk about Les Mis on my channel, like that's for sure. I love this book, so I'm going to mention it. But anyway, thank you all for watching. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Thanks. Bye.